Derek, welcome to this Fireside chat at D&M Research. How are you doing today?
It's very warm. It's very warm.
Yeah,
it's very warm. If I do develop a little bit of a sweat bead or something,
Yeah, we can clean it.
We can clean that out in the editing, I think. Yeah.
We can indeed.
Yeah.
Now, Derek, tell me this. How does your day begin? What do you do that puts you in your zone of excellence to set you up for the perfect day?
Yeah, great question, Phil. I'm a real routine guy, right? I mean, most people who know me would know I have this insane routine where it's not so much that the routine itself is insane, but I like to stick to the routine. So that involves early morning cycling, early morning stints at the beach, hit sessions, starts pretty early, 5:20, 6 a.m. That gets my day going. Normally I'm completely rooted by 2 p.m, which is not great for, my work output, but I think I do a lot of thinking on that, during those times, and that helps with getting through the day for sure. So that's how I start my work day, normally with some kind of exercise, some kind of intensity.
So that's an important thing for you. You get a bit antsy if you don't get your exercise in.
I get very antsy, I suffer from Catholic guilt even though I'm not a Catholic.
Do you?
So, if I don't do my exercise, I tend to walk around all day thinking, oh my God, I've buggered up the whole day now, I've buggered up. But I mean, it's also related to, the amount of food I consume. I love to eat the right things when I can and, have a little extra if I can.
Excellent. Now, what are you most excited about in the business at this stage?
At this stage, well, we're post-COVID at the moment, and that's, maybe not post-COVID, but we're certainly post where we were in terms of, when COVID first hit, business were kind of, pretty much put in hibernation, and it's coming out the other end of that. It's been really exciting, I've got to say. So we really ramped up the digital marketing. We did that completely all through the whole process, and the idea was that would make us the most salient brand coming out. People would eventually have to do some research and business activity would resume, and that's happening now, and we're really starting to see that's working for us, and the work that we've been doing during that period has been really exciting. I mean, this is part of it, doing the Fireside chats, working really closely with Emre on their digital people, and it's just been fantastic. So I've really enjoyed being back in that kind of sales mode and focusing more on the 3 things that I believe I should be doing, which is kind of chief salesman, chief team builder, chief strategist. I feel like I'm actually doing that now in this period, so that's been a really positive thing.
Fantastic. Tell me this, is there a resource that you use like on a day-to-day basis, a favourite go-to resource that you literally can't live without?
Yeah, food.
Food,
That's pretty inspiring. Look, I do listen to some. I'm not a great prolific business book kind of reader. I find them pretty boring. So I tend to use Audible, and I'll listen to like summaries or of business books. So I like to do that. I like to listen to the ABC 702 and 6:30 and stay ahead of the news. But I think a lot of the inspiration I think comes from within. I think a lot of the answers are there. You just gotta find them. And I find the cycling. I know you're a mad cyclist yourself, and I find that it's almost meditative, and a lot of the answers can come through, or swim or whatever. Yeah, but I try to stay in touch with what's going on, but I don't try to get obsessed with business books and reading.
A bit dry, the old business book.
Well, I just think a lot of it's repetitive. I must say, there are some breakthrough books that I think everyone should read, everyone should know about. But at the end of the day, it's a bit like the life of Brian. You got to work it out for yourself.
For sure. And tell me this: what does your structure look like as the day progresses? If you get sidetracked, are you good at sort of coming back onto the railroad tracks and realigning?
Yeah, look, I think so. I mean, my day can go awfully wrong awfully quickly. I find, if a fire breaks out, then that's generally my job to kind of fix it. So that can, that's my role, I guess. But I try to be reasonably disciplined in the morning and try to get through, at least a list of tasks, and then, make those calls, do those follow-ups, that type of thing, and then I really think my role then is to kind of help with other people where are there any friction points or any way that I can help. I try to do we've got a beautiful community here, beautiful culture where we check in quite a lot, and I find that kind of helps us keep things moving along quite nicely.
Excellent. What do you find motivating about the business? What keeps you inspired in the workplace? Like, what are the things that drives you to get out of bed in the morning at 5:30 a.m?
That's another great question. We've been in business for 25 years.
25 years?
Nearly 26 years, Phil. So, you could easily find it a bit of a routine and get a bit, become a bit staid. One of the things I love to do to refresh is we often change that we might rebrand, or we've changed this reception now, I think, kind of 3 times, and we've been in this building now for 20 years. So I think that's kind of important, to come in and have a bit of a refresh. The team keeps me going. Our culture is very much a family, so I think just coming in and catching up with people every day and seeing the people and seeing what's going on in their world, and then kind of blending that kind of work life. So I don't really believe in work-life balance. I think that's kind of a really crap term. I think work-life integration is a far better term.
Sure.
And I think in our culture we kind of achieve that.
Sure. And what are the changes since you've been in business? If you can hark back to those early days of D&M research, has the industry changed a lot in that period? I imagine it would have.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first year of the business I mainly played Doom, which was an interesting first year with our producer actually. So that was an interesting time. But in terms of the changes, I mean, the industry's obviously changed, like all industries, as a result of the digital revolution. And we, most surveys were done on paper back in those days when we first started. We used to run data entry shifts every night in our office down in Clovelly. We'd have 4 or 5 people tapping in all night. The place was always filled with postage, big mail bags full of questionnaires that had come in. Then we moved to telephone, and we had like an outbound call centre on the other side of this building with 40 stations, and that would run every night. So a lot more bodies, a lot more people, and then once digital surveying became a thing, then we moved to that very quickly. We saw that was the way forward, and we've been doing that for nearly 20 years. So that's a huge change in terms of the way we do surveys and the way we do research.
Fantastic. And what about the actual, the pitching part of the business? Because you're at the front, you're the front guy, you're going out there and you're talking to all these businesses. Obviously, you've got a pretty good closing ratio. How do you get people over the line? What's your secret sauce?
I don't know if it's a good closing ratio, but we get our fair share, Phil.
Yes.
Look, pitching is a difficult one to really understand what works and what doesn't work, because I mean, recently I just did what I thought was an absolutely fabulous pitch, and pipped at the post, and then today, while we're filming here today, in came another one. So what makes the difference between a winning proposal and one that you just come second place, or you're not even in the running? It's difficult to put your finger on. I think the key thing is kind of really trying to understand what the client wants and pushing back on the brief many times. Now, this can be at your own peril in some cases. Some clients don't like that, but we try to do that. I think there must be something in the water that enables you to win more than your share, because I think you've got to win more than 1 in 3 to kind of keep that, to thrive. And I think there's times when we're doing that really well, and there's clear times where perhaps others are doing that better, and then we have to lift our game, and we have to keep changing and evolving and optimising what we do. One thing that's really important for us is you might have heard from some of the others who've spoken today about the importance of production values, and nothing goes out of here without going through our design department. And I think I certainly know that was a value we always had until we had a designer in-house that revolutionised the way we did pitches and proposals, and all the documents that even the reporting side of things goes out. That looks just amazing, and I think that's certainly helps at the pitch stage to have a document that's stunning.
Fantastic. It must be very satisfying when COVID first hit. Businesses literally here in Sydney universally ground to a halt. It must be nice to be doing deals now, as we seem to be coming out of it and people are a lot more optimistic about the future.
Definitely. We've done more deals in the last 3 weeks, I think, than we've done in the last 6 months, and that's great to see. That's great to see those green shoots, and then to start, there was a lot more requests for proposals probably in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and now we're starting to see some of those come home and get over the line, which has been absolutely fantastic. I think businesses just got to a point where they realise that we can't just keep continue doing nothing.
We've got to move forward.
We've got to move forward. We've got to do something. We've got to, we've got to, even if this is the new norm, then, and I hate that term, but if it is, then we've got to start planning for our business again. And I think that there's a real opportunity for research to kind of, fill that void and provide that kind of marketing intelligence that people are going to need. Our business is all about making decisions at the end of the day. It's not that complicated. You got a decision to make. It's better to make that decision based on some evidence, right? So evidence-based decision making. You talk a lot of industries say they're part of that, but that's what we basically do. And so, is my decision A or B? Where's the evidence for A? Where's the evidence for B? I think there's potentially could be a bit of a bit of growth in the business and the industry in the coming years if we're lucky.
Fantastic. Well, look, Derek, thanks so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. Really appreciate it, and wish you guys at DNM Research all the very best with your ongoing success.
It was an absolute pleasure, Phil. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
Cheers.